NATCO Philippines. It was put up in 1977 by Co-op Education and Training Centers located in different regions in the Philippines to serve as their spokesperson, secretariat, and coordinating body. The centers were in turn set up starting in the 1960s when grassroots co-ops began to federate so as to have structures for co-op education and training. Thus, NATCO was known as the National Association of Training Centers for Cooperatives. NATCO also came as a felt need of the centers to put up a united front, as the private sector initiated co-ops at that time were under threat from the dictatorship government of the 1970s. As the years passed, the grassroots co-op grew more in number and in the required assistance from the regional centers and NATCO. NATCO was mandated to pursue new directions and to expand services. With that, it took its current name in 1986, and the centers moved on to become Total Co-op Regional Development Centers, RDCs. With more economic and social changes for the Philippine co-op movement, NATCO focused on developing technical tools on financial intermediation and enterprise development, with the RDCs as principal service providers from the late 1990s to 2002. In 2002, NATCO's GA passed a resolution to study NATCO's restructuring from a 3-tiered to a 2-tiered structure. After consultations on this transformation, the GA amended the organizational bylaws in 2004, with financial intermediation as NATCO's principal focus, and the primary co-ops became NATCO's direct members. NATCO has financial services and allied services. It also has its NATCO Enterprise Development Center, which include the Co-op Mart, housing, health, funeral care. There is also the Institute for Co-op Excellence. NATCO and GAD. NATCO's GAD thrusts traces back to its WID focus in early 1988. It started as a small component of PICODAP, a partnership between NATCO and CCA. In February 1988, NATCO and a government women's agency had a national conference for women co-op leaders in Cebu City. A series of consultations followed. In the NATCO forums, the women leaders articulated the need for more women's participation in the co-op movement. They claimed that, for years, co-op's membership were largely women, but men held most of the leadership positions. They questioned the movement's sensitivity to the needs of the women or only to the needs of men. In 1990, in Pattaya, Thailand, NATCO and 3 other national organizations concerned with co-op and development agreed to form AWCF in greater pursuit of gender concerns. How did the AWCF MISEREOR projects impact on NATCO? Numerous GST conducts and leadership skills training given by NATCO's gender advocates helped the organization grow a more positive outlook to the gender equality goal. From the constant hammering of the gender equality and inequality concept, women developed the sense of self and self-confidence and acquired leadership and technical skills. Men became more mindful of their language and sexist remarks. Within the family household, there is greater equity in the household division of labor and reduced vices of husbands. Co-ops with significant female leadership or gender-sensitive male leadership initiated more non-traditional services reflective of the social dimension. Women's leadership makes a difference in terms of the types of projects and changes they initiate. In 2004, NATCO's women cooperators scored a major victory when the first women representative to the board became the network's first woman chairperson. The gender quota measure, which facilitated the women representatives' entry into the national board through a reserved seat, was helpful in bringing about her direct election as a leader of NATCO board. NATCO's heightened linkaging with advocacy groups like AWCF, CCA, and WAND resulted in projects, workshops, exchange programs, conferences, research, and documentation that interplayed with and gave the needed push to the often intermittent activities on gender initiated by NATCO. The processes of changes were sustained in NATCO at the level of understanding, attitude, policy, structure, and programs. NATCO learned to value the process and instituting mechanisms for the regular collection and analysis of data that helped in monitoring and evaluating its progress on women's representation in co-op leadership and decision-making. In 1994, the experiences of NATCO trainers and gender advocates were put together in the NATCO Trainers Manual for conducting GST. In the same year, NATCO's advocacy and human resources were further consolidated when the Association of Gender Advocates in Development, or AGAD, was formed by different member co-ops in a workshop in Cebu City. AGAD was to be NATCO's advocacy body and resource pool for GAD concerns. In the next months, more women and men co-op leaders and technical staff of primary co-ops, regional centers, and NATCO Secretariat joined AGAD. The AGAD Congress just before the NATCO GA in 2000 led to the adoption at the GA of gender-related resolutions. Approval for allocation for GAD of at least 5% from the Co-op Education and Training Fund in the primary, secondary co-op, and NATCO levels. Amendment of the NATCO bylaws to provide one seat in the NATCO board for a woman representative who will be elected at large. And development and implementation of skills training on entrepreneurship, communication, negotiation, and conflict management to address the needs of the women and men in co-ops. A later development and part of NATCO's transformation is the election held during the Women's Congress held before a NATCO GA for one representative each from the Philippines geographical regions to sit in the NATCO Gender Executive Committee or EXECOM. The election of these representatives is affirmed by the NATCO GA with a one-year term in the Gender EXECOM. One of them is also elected to sit in the NATCO board, representing the women's sector in co-ops. To work even harder, a network of strength. In the past few minutes, you have had an overview of how the 5 AWCF members in Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Philippines have grown and reached out to their affiliates through 2 MISEREOR-funded projects, that is, strengthening gender programs of cooperative organizations in Asia, and enabling women to promote and practice transformative leadership in co-ops in 5 countries in Asia. In 2004, or 1 year before the second MISEREOR project ended, AWCF held a network strategizing workshop in July in Malaysia. AWCF members and secretariat reviewed milestones of the 1998 to 2003 GAD plan of each member and the secretariat. The workshop surmised the strengths, opportunities, and challenges that AWCF continues to gain and to face as a regional resource center and advocacy body on GAD, and co-ops are helping the network to further grow and develop. But very importantly, it was also acknowledged at the workshop that AWCF's learning and gains, particularly from its recent major project undertakings like the MISEREOR projects, are helping it to continue gender mainstreaming efforts in the members as a network reinforced by individual organizational strengths. Overall, the strategies and learning from the MISEREOR projects that help AWCF promote, integrate, and strengthen GAD work in co-ops are: 1. Capacity building programs for member organizations. 2. Gender equality and women empowerment campaign. 3. Publication of resource materials. 4. Networking and linkaging. 5. Development of monitoring tools. 6. Similar activities in all 5 member countries of AWCF that brought various results and impact, which were necessary and important for sharing experiences and widening learning and insights of each member organization. 7. Fund allocation for GAD and TL. 8. Creation of a structure within the organization to look into gender integration within. 9. Gender equality and women empowerment framework from WID to WAD to GAD to TL. Also, from the gender trainers and advocates from AWCF members, The AWCF Regional Resource Training Pool was also formed, which enhances AWCF's capability to provide services to members, especially and to clients that seek its assistance. National-level training and policy advocacy workshops were used to discuss, promote, and advocate several GAD and TL concepts with co-op decision-makers and leaders. The aim was to integrate these in policies, including election mechanisms, practices, organizational structure, programs, and services through transformed women and men leaders. Some of these workshops were conducted back-to-back with the members' annual GAs or other major events. The Transformative Leadership Adoption Assessment, a manual for cooperatives, developed in 2002 by AWCF, is a major work that aims to gather baseline information from co-ops to help systematically assess their level of adoption of a transformative form of leadership. The manual's evaluation guidelines, processes, and instruments help to provide that the results of the adoption of TL will positively correlate with the economic development of co-ops. With the challenges put forward by each member organization, AWCF has decided to strengthen its governance, policies, services, and restructuring, and involve more its leadership in strategic directions. AWCF's work in these past project years and its efforts in the forthcoming years will complement and strengthen each other. AWCF is emboldened by its efforts in the past years and the support it obtained from its strategic development partners. AWCF looks forward to sustaining and even improving on the results already achieved.